Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
So the name Fire Chat is inspired by something Franklin D. Roosevelt would do in the 30s in the middle of a very tough time in American history, where he would get on the radio and he would have these fireside chats with the country. So that's where the name comes from, right? And there's obviously the lyric in there, conversations in front of the fireplace, right? And so Franklin D. Roosevelt, the president, he would sit and he would talk to the nation, give them updates, and consistently really just do it as a way to give them hope, give them inspiration, and let them know that, you know, coming out of some gnarly stuff with the Depression and then potentially World War II and all the stuff that was going on, that was his way of repeatedly communicating and sharing hopeful information essentials with the country. So that's where the name comes from. If you Google it, you can find out all kinds of stuff about the Fireside Chat. Aesthetically, again, this is produced by my man Ray Rock. Those are scratches by DJ Aslan. And the big theme was this, is I wanted to drop something. This is my favorite time of year, but sometimes when people drop music around this time of year, what is it? It's usually Christmas music, right? And so I was like, I don't want to drop a Christmas song, but I want to drop something that feels like it's appropriate for the season, but it doesn't, something that feels like it's appropriate for the season, but that doesn't completely change, because I feel like the vibe really changes from, you know, December 20th to January 1st. All of a sudden, we're all trying to get our New Year's resolutions and, you know, new year, new me vibes. And I said, how can I make a song that isn't a Christmas song, but is going to address some of the stuff we're dealing with Christmas, but also reinforce who God is in my life and set people up to go into the new year, just a mentality, a vertical mentality. So that's kind of like the concept. It's like, how can we make a record that is a Christmas record, but not a Christmas record that actually ages well and transitions into the new year? That's kind of the framework behind it, just so you guys are wondering. So I'm gonna do the lyric breakdown now. That's where the song comes from, the title comes from, and I'm gonna play you guys the lyric breakdown, and then we're gonna go over some of these bars, and then after that, in the second part, we will do a devotional to give you guys all the Bible verses. All right, so let's get into it. This is Fireside Chat. I'm just gonna play it bar for bar. Of course, we got the scratches opening up with DJ Aslan.
Joshua the king came down and bore it all. Yeah, conversations front of the fireplace. All of my mistakes, how do I erase?
That joint feel loud. Hold on, let me pull this down here. That joint feel loud, son. Just pull the gain down. I don't know if there's like compression happening here. There shouldn't be. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. All right. Level is down. Audio processing is off. There we go. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, conversations front of the fireplace. All of my mistakes, how do I erase? Wanna operate at a higher pace. Birth pains causing the body to dilate. On the front mistakes, how do I erase?
All right.
Front of the fireplace. All of my mistakes, how do I erase? Wanna operate at a higher pace. Birth pains causing the body to dilate.
So it's starting with this tone of self-reflection, self-awareness, right? And I talk about this on the channel. I am not the most, or haven't historically been the most self-aware person. So conversations in front of the fireplace. All of my mistakes, how do I erase?
Front of the fireplace. All of my mistakes, how do I erase? Wanna operate at a higher pace. Birth pains causing the body to dilate. On a first name basis with the worst pain facing the body to...
Birth pains causing the body to dilate. So we know that, you know, it's kind of a play on words, right? As a woman gives birth, she dilates, right? And it's a painful process. And in the same time, a lot of times new things in our life require a painful process. So I'm talking about this process of going through my own thought, taking inventory of my own heart, taking inventory of my own motives, and a lot of people do this around the time of the holidays, right? A lot of people tend to get very emotional around the time of the holidays. Let me know how the audio is sounding to you guys, those of you guys that are watching this live, because, you know, I'm running it through here. It sounds good in my headphones, but let me know if it's loud enough, if the song is loud enough.
pains causing the body to dilate on a first name basis with the worst pain facing.
On a first name basis with the worst pain facing. Again, play on words with birth. Also self-awareness. Growth causing growth pains, growth causing pain, growth causing hurts. When a child is growing, there's growth pains, meaning that their bones are stretching. This is the same thing that happens to us in our sanctification process, right? A little louder, okay.
Moments in isolation, a body to dilate on a first name basis with the worst pain facing. Moments in isolation, see I was
on a first name
the
basis.
Body to dilate on a first name basis with the worst pain facing. Moments in isolation. See, I was hoping.
On a first name basis with the worst pain facing, moments in isolation. In our society, we don't attribute enough to solitude, right? We love that our relationship with Jesus is personal and we're very individualistic, but a lot of times we don't really talk about the solitude that comes along with prayer, that comes along with devotion, that comes along with just being sometimes in your own thoughts and processing your own issues. And that happens a lot of times when you're by yourself. That doesn't necessarily happen in community, right? Now, community is amazing. Accountability is amazing. Church is amazing. But a lot of this stuff I spent a lot of time thinking through on my own.
With the worst pain facing, moments in isolation. See, I was hoping I would do this to get more family time. A busy mind and worried heart is just not where I reside.
See, I was hoping I would do this to get more family time. A busy mind and worried heart, is this now where I recline? This is me speaking specifically when I went full time with music. And I remember being on tour and I'm like, yo, I called my wife and I was like, hey, like, I wanted to do music not to spend less time with you guys, but to spend more time with you guys, right? And I feel like there's a lot of people who are providers, a lot of men who do the trade-off and they start a career, they start a venture, they start a business, they go into a high demanding career and they think it's going to give them more family time. They think it's going to give them more freedom. But a lot of times the front end commitment of that isn't that, right? And so by the grace of God, I'm in a place where I really enjoy family time. I get a good amount of time with my son when he wakes up, when he goes to bed. But this tension is something that's still very real as a creative and as an entrepreneur, someone that's self-employed, is whenever you're working, you feel bad for not spending time with your family, and whenever you're spending time with your family, you feel like you should be working. This is a tension that we live in for those of us that are creatives, and this is the main revenue that we use to provide for our families. And I feel like a lot of people feel this way.
A busy mind and worried heart is just not where I reside. I subscribed that all that traveling wasn't doing well for my soul. Glad I never made it when my name went through the rumor mill.
Okay. I subscribe all that traveling wasn't doing well for my soul. Glad I never made it when my name went through the rumor mill. You guys have heard me talk about not wanting to tour anymore, not wanting to travel anymore. I was doing a lot of traveling. The most I'd ever been gone from my family is 3 weeks, which is way too long, and I don't recommend it, and I don't think it's healthy. I don't know how folks in the military do it, but goodness gracious, that's some serious time away. So, and then that second part, glad I never made it.
Name went through the roof, doing well for my soul. Glad I never made it when my name went through the rumor mill.
Some of my darkest times is when I was traveling away from my family, right? A lot of times doing concerts and stuff, sometimes at church or sometimes at secular universities. And I said, I'm glad that I never made it. I'm glad I never made it to the point where I was so big that my name went through the rumor mill. Now I'm talking about just the mistakes that I've made along the journey, and I've talked about those, and I'm going to talk more about those on this channel. But specifically, but this is also specifically in light of the stuff that we see coming out with mega church celebrity pastors and people becoming uber duper famous in the name of Jesus, and then having massive moral blowout and you know, all kinds of just damage done to their family, damage done to their ministries, damage done to their reputation. And that's me acknowledging, like, I'm so glad that God didn't allow me to become successful prematurely when I wasn't ready to handle that success.
I suppose that the Lord knows I'd have failed. Instead, I'm doing well at home, out my shell.
I'm supposed that the Lord knows I'd have failed, right? If I would have been bigger, I'd have failed. I may have failed in my marriage. I may have failed in another way. I suppose that the Lord knows I'd have failed.
At home, out my
I suppose that
Instead, I'm doing well at home, out my shell.
So I tell you guys all the time, I don't leave the crib. I don't go anywhere, right? I'm good at the crib. And COVID, for me, has been one of those things that's exposed how distracted sometimes I felt. You know what I mean? And I've been in the past. And so I'm grateful that my success came much later when I was much more stable. You know what I mean?
Good book off the shelf, more dubs off the L's. I told Ray they ain't just gon' know us, they gon' know us well.
Good book off the shelf, more dubs off the L's. I told Ray they ain't just gonna know us, they gonna know us well. That's a tie-in to me being more and more outspoken about my faith, outspoken about just even doing Bible studies on the channel, and just being very, I guess, explicit in my faith, which I haven't always been with my music. And then a tie-in is, you know, I told Ray is the producer on here. They're not just gonna know us, they're gonna know us well. It's funny how in my journey, my career, my music ministry, when I didn't talk about God, there felt like there was almost a lid over my like trajectory. And the more I became unapologetic and outspoken for things that mattered most to me, nuanced things, Bible studies, socioeconomic issues, politics, more dubs off the L's. You know what I'm saying? I started getting more dubs off the L's. Now maybe that's because of just the persistence and the consistency, but I think there's something there in my own journey, in my own development as a believer.
Happy that I felt my way to success. With my family by my side, Lord knows what's next.
Happy that I failed my way to success with my family by my side. Lord knows what's next. Failing your way to success. This is something that a lot of folks don't understand. Is most people who are successful didn't get it right the first time. Most people who are successful just had enough chances to keep trying until they became successful, right? Dave Ramsey has a quote: is the only difference between success and failure is you realize that when you're successful, you're still standing on a big pile of crap. You're still standing on a big pile of L's. You're still standing on a big pile of just tough seasons, tough times. But the difference is you're on top of it, right? And so you're successful. It's elevated you versus being crushed by all of the L's and all of the pile of manure and all of the junk, right? So I have failed my way to success. I didn't just get it right the first time. What you guys are seeing is the other side of decades of me attempting to do music and get stuff out there, and really recently getting to a place where I'm not worried about finances. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm not worried. I'm nowhere where I want to be, but it's not a worry anymore. It's not like a burden anymore, and I'm able to move and maneuver and save and hire people, right? So now let's get to this chorus. This chorus is really fun to me.
Joshua the king came down and bore it all. I know a few things, never claimed to know it all, but I know it's off. Never noticed y'all. Hit a protocol, need an overhaul.
So Joshua the king came down and bore it all. I know a few things and never claimed to know it all. That's kind of sometimes people see me speak on this channel and they think that I am on here on some like authority on all things related. And I repeatedly say to you guys, I don't have perfect theology, nor is that something I ascribe for. Aspire for, but I do know the things that I do know, and I will speak with confidence and authority on the things that I do know. And I'm going to get more into that on the Devo portion of this video, where I break it down. So Joshua the king came down and bore it all. I knew a few things, never claimed to know it all, but I know it's off. Never noticed y'all, need an overhaul. Right? Need an overhaul, a restart, overhaul. We need an overhaul to our year. We need an overhaul to how we view the scriptures. We need an overhaul, right? And I'm saying we need a reset. I need a reset, right?
Need an overhaul. I need an overhaul. Need an overhaul. We need an overhaul. Joshua the king came down and bore it all. Conversations front of the fireplace. I know a few things, never claimed to know it all. Conversations front of the fireplace. Joshua the king came down and bore it all. Conversations front of the fireplace. I know a few things, never claimed to know it all. Conversations front of the fireplace.
So that's DJ Aslan, and we just kind of bring back that motif of Yahshua the King came down and bore it all. I know a few things, never claim to know it all. Let's have this conversation over the fireplace. Let's talk about hope. Let's talk about some things that I feel like people need to know. And then here I go into what I believe is going to be the tough times that some people experience during the holiday season. As fun as I enjoy this season, it's always a tough season for certain people, right? People have experienced tragedy, people have experienced loss, people have experienced tough things during this year, and so here I kind of dig into some of these situations that not all, but many of us are faced with in terms of this season. So that's what this second verse is about.
All that drama and hysteria should die down. If there's nothing nice to say, then baby, pipe down. Life is too short to try and pay the price now. I was walking on water and then I wiped out.
All that drama and hysteria should die down. If there's nothing nice to say, then baby, pipe down, okay? We're going to all be faced with people in our lives, especially around the holidays, who will bait us into discussions, bait us into drama, bait us into having conversations that we just know aren't going to go anywhere, whether that's politics, whether that's religion, whether that's whatever, right? And so, and there's a lot of these people, they're the ones hurting, and they're projecting some of this drama. They're almost baiting you into having these conversations. I'm just saying, listen, if there's nothing nice to say, baby, pipe down. Life is too short to try and
pay the price now.
Life is too short to try and pay the price now. And then I take it back to me, right? It's not just me preaching at you. Then I say, I was walking on water, right? Reference to Peter walking on water, and then I wiped out. I was walking on water, and then I wiped out. The moment we take our eyes off of Jesus and we think we're doing it, that's when we wipe out. And it's a play on walking on water, surfing. When you wipe out in surfing, you fall off your surfboard. And I'm kind of tying it into like Southern California culture, surfing, but also to Peter walking on water. It's a play on words, but the big idea there is the moment we take our eyes off of Jesus, boom, we fall off. And that can happen around the holidays when we could get baited into some of these conversations. We can get baited into arguments, just knowing that people just, especially this year, man, people are going, if you're getting together with your family members, people are going to be on edge. People are going to be emotional. People are going to be going through stuff. And the moment you take your eyes off of Jesus and you start thinking that you got all the answers, you gonna wipe out. You know what I'm saying? You think you're doing it? Nah, man. Like the breakthrough you're having in your life is because of Jesus, not with Jesus. Like Jesus is the one that's holding you up. You know what I mean? And that's what was happening in the story with Peter.
I was walking on water and then I wiped out. So this is for the restoration of every family member that's estranged. I know you're facing the same asymptomatic patient, different virus.
This is for the restoration of every family member that we, hold on, what did I say?
That's estranged. I know you're facing.
That's estranged. So now we're talking about family members getting together, family members that you don't see, maybe that estranged family member, right? And I tie in. There's a bar in here about COVID, but listen to how I say it.
Facing the same
We're facing the same asymptomatic
patient, different virus.
The same asymptomatic patient, different virus. Hard to tell somebody.
Hard to tell somebody they sick when they only deny it.
Hard to tell somebody they sick when they only deny. So now we're facing these estranged family members, these family members that maybe we have tension with, these family members that maybe are dealing with addiction, maybe they're dealing with blowout in their personal life, right? And I'm saying you're going to be around these people, and the hope is restoration, but don't think that you're going to change them because it's like an asymptomatic patient. They don't have necessarily overt symptoms, right? But that they could be contagious in their drama, just like the vid. They could be contagious in their drama. They could be contagious and not even know it. So don't sit here and try to convince somebody that they need to, make changes if they're not even in a position to hear it, right? I'll play this back real quick.
Hard to tell somebody they sick when they only deny it.
It's hard to tell somebody they're sick. Have you ever tried to tell an addict that they're an addict? Have you ever tried to tell somebody with mental health issues that they have mental health issues? Have you, right? You see what I'm saying? Have you tried to tell somebody that, hey, what you're doing here is off? Be careful with codependent people. Be careful with high maintenance people that make you feel like that you got to walk on eggshells around them. don't think it's your fault. A lot of times these are asymptomatically ill people, meaning there's not overt symptoms on them. They don't know that they're sick and they're not overtly sick. So you really gotta pay attention. But it's not your job to convince them of these things, because they're not gonna get it anyway, right? They're not gonna get it anyway. And those people like to open up a lot of times and share and share and share. And then they get you to share. And then sometimes they betray you, and that's what this next bar is about.
And you confide in something personal, but they think you lying. With friends like these who need enemies, I wish I was lying.
You confided something personal, but they think you lying. When you got friends like these who needs enemies, I wish I was lying, right? I wish I was lying.
Nevertheless, I want to be more and do less trying.
Nevertheless, I want to be more and do less trying. Self-explanatory. I don't want to try to do things for God. I just want to be present with God, and if I'm present with God, then everything else will align.
Until the Lord comes back and takes his people back to Zion. Yeah. Yahshua the King came down and bore it all. I know a few things, never claimed to know it all, but I know it's off. Never noticed y'all. Hit a protocol. Need an overhaul. Need an overhaul. I need an overhaul. Need an overhaul. We need an overhaul. Yahshua the King came down and bore it all. Conversations front of the fireplace. I know a few things, never claimed to know it all. Conversations front of the fireplace. Yahshua the King came down and bore it all. Conversations front of the fireplace. I know a few things, never claimed to know it all. Conversations front of the fireplace.
So that's my brand new song, Fireside Chat, produced by DJ Ray Rock. I guess Ray Rock is a DJ. Produced by Ray Rock, scratching by DJ Aslan. The title is inspired by Franklin D. Roosevelt's Fireside Chats. And hopefully you get a little bit more insight in terms of the background behind the song, the heart of the song, what am I really talking about, and what I'm trying to hopefully accomplish with the message of the song. Love to hear from you.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.